Welcome to the August 28th open board session. Everybody please stand for a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Executive General Manager report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the board and community, welcome. We're going to start off, Jason, if we can get the PowerPoint ready. Perfect. Okay, so let's go on to the first slide if possible. Some of our items. First, I want to take a moment that's not on this listing here, is we've got some new additions that are coming to our community. And so I'd like to formally introduce David Goldstein, who is going to be our Director of Golf. He will be replacing Brian. David, why don't you stand up? You might notice David is not wearing a Target shirt, so he does not have the Target on the front or back, so not yet, but no, I'm just kidding. So,
not yet. That's what we're talking about.
David, why don't you give us a few words, please?
Thank you. My name is David Goldstein. I'm the second. I am PGA Class A, and I am excited to be here. Ecstatic, actually. All I hear is great things about your club, and I'm hoping to help in any way that I can and use my resources and my specialty to be your golf pro, and for hopefully many, many years. And thank you for allowing me to be here. And if you guys need anything at all, I do have an open door policy, so come in and talk to me. I'm a face-to-face person. I will try to get all of your answers and all your questions answered and make it even more enjoyable than it already is. So thank you guys very, very much.
Now that's an improvement because it's short and to the point, so I like that. That's good. That's good. Thank you, David, and welcome. Also, a new addition, we were going to be hiring a new executive chef. That gentleman is named Joshua Steves, and he will be starting September 16th, so looking forward to that. Now let's go on to some items. Jason, perfect. I know in small print, ladies and gentlemen, we have experience, again, just a reminder at the main pool, please do not bring outside alcohol. The members are not authorized to bring outside alcohol to the clubhouse area within the footprint. The pool is within that footprint that ABC requires no outside liquor to be brought in. And so to combat this, the board has authorized extending monitor hours at the main pool, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11 to 5. We will have a monitor. I know there was issues with the prior contractor who supplied monitors. We have worked with temp agency as well as hiring internally, and Jason and his team have worked on that. We believe we found a good candidate. They've already started, Jay? Start this weekend. Age verification. So as of August 28th, we are at 75.7%. We need 80%. We're very close. That's very good news. Again, we're ahead of where we were 2 years ago. At this next delegate assembly in September, we will be following up with the delegates asking for that last help to reach the finish line. In big letters, well, not on the screen though, Gate 2 fountains are up and running. We finally got the contractors to rebuild that equipment, put it in place. Mark Schleiden has been harassing them. They've come through, so please enjoy as you go through Gate 2. The fountains are up and running, and we will be monitoring that because I know some board members live up there and drive by it every day. Also, the board has provided their budget directives, also an update to the budget timeline, and those directives will be published on the website. That will be forthcoming. Okay, let's get on to the next slide. A couple of other things, the lounge project update, and then I'll do some miscellaneous updates. Let's first go on to, and Jay, I could probably do it with the clicker, right? Let's see. Oh, yes, perfect. Okay. Lounge expansion. So many of you who may not have been here, and I will put this report on the website so you can see it. This was our activity back in July 24th, of what some of the areas in the lounge look like for those that may not have been here to see the progress that we've made so far. And now let's get on to August. So this is now what we're looking at. The left picture is from the restaurant as you walk in that back door looking at where the new lounge is and that air wall. They have taken out the old carpet. I know that has been a complaint on message to management. The board has addressed that. There will be new carpet in place. It is actually, they're putting that in right now. That is why the restaurant section is closed from the 26th through September 10th, reopening September 11th. That restaurant section will be open, or at least to the air wall, so members can use that. We will have Monday Night Football. We will have that in on September 9th, Monday Night Football. It will be in the Sandwich. We'll also have the outside area with seats open. We'll be rolling out a portable TV so members can sit out on that patio area to watch the game. To the right on the picture, that is looking from right where the doors into the kitchen, looking out at part of the lounge, and you see the flooring that has gone in there, the herringbone. Next, we have now looking at the rotunda, if we want to call it, or that section with the flooring, with those side. I don't know if it comes out too good. Let's see. Jason, I can't even get the light on it. But nonetheless, along the wall, you see that wood paneling. And then on the right, you see that the posts have that wood paneling as well. And then this is now looking at the bar. For the new layout of the bar, more space so that bartenders can not only serve members who come up to the bar, but that window area will be able to accommodate 2 bartenders if there is an event in the main clubhouse, in the main ballroom. And then the picture on the right is of the door that will be leading from the lounge into the restaurant. This is where they will take food out. Servers, food runners will bring food out to the lounge. So that's the progress, and I will have more pictures, and I know Hernan is working to update the website as well with new pictures. So that is the progress right now, on budget, on time, and looking forward to it opening. Excuse me. Next, let's talk about a serious item, is where we are budget-wise through July. Now, this is a report that I include in my management report. This also is included in the financials. And you can see we had good progress through June in areas of HOA and golf. In July, we had faltered, and there are a couple of areas that kicked us into a negative year-to-date. All 3 actually areas of the HOA, food and beverage, and golf course caused a decline in revenue, an increase in expenses, which overall brought year-to-date loss to $163,000. That's about $104,000 roughly variance from the budget through July. So let me go through a couple of items to talk about what happened. So in admin, we've had an increase in consulting services. That is the services that are provided by the architect designer assisting with the lounge expansion, any questions on plans, any issues with the decorations, the floor, etc. Those costs for them to assist with it are right now being charged to the operating account under consulting services. We've also seen an increase in bad debt, and this has been a trend. I've talked about it a couple times, that we're seeing delinquencies rise. We're seeing the amount of accounts headed toward foreclosure increasing. And we did see that in the month of July, that the costs for collections did increase and did cause an impact on causing an over-budget situation for the month. Within operations and maintenance, items increased. The evaluation of we had an increase in repair costs, plumbing, water feature, and regular repairs to plumbing. And what we'll be doing is evaluating if those can be qualify for repair and replacement. So you might ask, well, Chris, why do you pay out of operating when it's potential? Just like you, when you call a plumber, toilet won't flush. Okay, so you think it's just a simple repair. In some cases, you don't realize, like we had here, Oh, those are cast iron piping that were put in by the original builder that requires the removal of all of that to fix the problem with the toilet. So you go in thinking it's a simple repair. Fix toilet, please, won't flush. And it becomes a larger repair. And when you analyze it afterwards to pay the work is done because it's an emergency item. I need to make sure that the facility is working for the community. Those will be authorized by Mark Schleiden, approved by myself. Get the work done, get it going. The vendor will be paid out of operating to facilitate that vendor getting paid fast. Then we evaluate to say this does extend the life. This meets the criteria for upkeep of the asset, extending life. This should be a repair and replacement item. And so that's why you see some of these items that are paid out of operating. When we review them and then move them over to reclass to a repair and replacement qualification, which then means I have to get the money from the repair and replacement fund to reimburse the operating. And that is usually through a board action. Utilities, specifically water usage in common area, was higher due to higher temperatures. Now, we have seen, and this is a trend also in golf course maintenance, that in years past, even though we've seen a high increase in temperature, I should say, last year we saw more humidity in the air, even though it was warmer, and that meant that the soil was still getting some hydration. This year, it has been hotter and drier. This has required Mark Schleiden and Mark Birchfield to increase the amount of water needed to make sure we don't have die-off of the turf, the die-off of the plants. And that was unexpected, and that did cause an increase in the budget, not only in common area under Mark Schleiden, but in golf course maintenance. Excuse me. This also then contributed to an allocation from golf course maintenance, which is the green belt allocation, to be higher than expected. Another area is property protection. It's higher than budgeted, as the board approved additional patrol to the RV lot due to increased criminal activity. Patrol was also utilized while the camera system was being replaced. These were unexpected costs that are incurred directly related to criminal activity in the RV lot. And so that was an unexpected hit on the budget, and that will continue until, I'm proud to say, until the end of this month, as the cameras have been replaced and we're able to pull back the patrol. Two other areas related to revenue. Social membership revenue was down. That's directly correlated to home sales. The more homes sell, the more social membership revenue I get. Home sales are down, and I think that's been a trend, that our revenue for that home social membership has been trending below the budget. And then activities revenue has been down as we projected additional revenue generating events. Now, with the closure of the lounge, also as usage in this room increases, that limits the amount of extra events, extra comedy, extra concerts that I could have. And so that had an impact on it. One of the things we're going to have to work with, and Recreation is on that, is we set our calendar a year in advance. That even the clubs, they set it a year in advance. And so we're working with the board to allocate certain days that are allowed for HOA events so we can increase the amount of those revenue generating events, but also bring different acts, different items that also could support the lounge. That will have to be looked at in 2025. Now, this is just a little graph I did of showing social memberships are tied to home sales. And you can see the budget is in orange, actual is in blue. And so you see through the year, and those yellow, those are the variants. And you don't want those yellows to be below the line. And unfortunately, they have been consistently below the line. How are we going to do that? Unfortunately, this is going to be a continuing item through the rest of the year, as I don't think, unless Welcome Home can get out there and start selling more houses for us, talk to the Fed, please, about cutting their rates by 50 basis points in September. That might help. But nonetheless, this will continue to trend under budget, and that's going to be lower revenue than expected. On the other side, you see potential events that did not occur in 2024, but in 2023, we were looking and planning for these events to occur. And you see again, blue is the budget, the salmon color, I call it, is the actual, and yellow is variance. And you can see we have been trending where we were planning to do more events, but either due to the inability to get an act, inability to use a facility, or construction, that revenue has been hit, and it will continue to trend under budget for the remainder of the year. Let's look at golf operations. So within the pro shop, we saw a spike in labor due to the final payout for the director of golf. What happens is when people leave, they have accrued vacation that is paid out on their paycheck. And every quarter, we do an allocation where we say compensated absences reimburse the expense. So the expense appears higher when in actuality, an entry has not been done to reduce the expense, basically saying, Brian, you left, you had 80 hours of vacation on the books. We had accrued it over the year. You took it, and when you left, I need to reimburse that expense account and lower the liability. It's an accounting function, but basically what it says is I've overstated my expense for labor in the pro shop. Revenue from green fees is down about $6,000, and the main culprit here is the underperformance within member green fees. We're seeing guest fees higher than budget, which is great. We're seeing our annuals participate, but we have seen lower members participating who didn't have a membership, and so that has been an underrun in the budget. Excuse me, and it looks like that will continue to be the trend for the remainder of the year. Now, pro shop merchandise was off due to inventory count not fully completed. There were some items when they did it. This was during the transition from our director, Brian, leaving. The team pulled together to work on the inventory, but there were some discrepancies. That will be corrected in August. This should have a direct impact on the cost of goods sold. Golf course maintenance saw an overrun, again, by budget, roughly $41,000. There are a couple of main drivers to this. One, as I alluded to earlier, is the water usage. Higher temperatures and low humidity requires more watering of the turf. And also, pesticides were purchased, which caused a spike in the month. This is a timing issue. Birch had it planned for another period, but there was an opportunity. He needed it at this point, and he ordered it. It will correct itself through the remainder of the year. So let's focus on the water. And so you see the trend lines comparing actual to budget, and also I throw in a red line for 2023 actual. So January through April, the usage was below budget, but we saw hotter weather, or warmer weather I should say, impacting May, June, and July. And the budget is still on track though year to date, but if you see that blue line in golf course, that is the concern, because there is a concern that the warmer temperatures, low humidity will continue for August definitely and into September. That means that we will be utilizing more water, so we'll have to make up for it in other areas of the budget. And then finally, we go into food and beverage. Excuse me. The budget for food and beverage is built on an expectation that the lounge construction would be complete by April 2024. You all have been here watching. Unfortunately, construction did not begin until 2024 and will last to the end of September. This basically results in the 2024 budget for the first 3 quarters of the year being misaligned with actuals, meaning we had projected either higher revenues, expenses, and we're not meeting that due to our area being a smaller footprint. Now, revenue for the restaurant has declined over the year. Lounge revenue has remained somewhat stable. Labor costs still have remained high compared to actual revenue generated. And the main reason for this is the planned participation when they're projecting based on historical Wednesdays, historical Fridays, and they staff up for that. When the revenue goes down, meaning people are not participating or can't or on vacation, what have you, the revenue, there's a misalignment, meaning I have more labor. That means that we have people on the clock for 2 hours, we send them home because there's a minimum of 2 hours paid time for being called in. That distorts it, causing more expenses because there is less revenue generated for that amenity. There will also be an offsite to labor will show up in August as compensated absences here will be done. We had 2 staff members leave in the month of July, similar to what happened in Brian's department, Pro Shop. There will be some corrections to the actual expense for that. Cost of food has remained higher than revenue generated. Main reason is the large variance is in the proteins, vegetables have seen price increases, while the sales price for these items have not risen. So let's take a look at the graph I did. Actual food revenue has underperformed the last 6 months. So here is, in blue is the actual where we had expected. Now that January, you're going to say, Chris, you blew it out of the park in January, except the budget was built on us being closed in January in preparation for construction or during construction. And then we've continued to see revenues lag, and I think this last July, we only had roughly 66,000 of food revenue. That's probably one of the worst revenue months that I have seen since COVID. And so that is an issue that we need to address quickly. Bar revenue, the right-hand side chart, has underperformed the last 5 months. Again, where we had thought the orange is the budget where we had thought that the restaurant and the lounge would be open, we'd be selling more. That hasn't happened, so we're underperforming on revenues on that. Hoping that with the opening in October, that we can get on track for those last 3 quarters and make an impact, especially on banquets. Also, they are working on labor costs, and I'll go into that a little further. This next chart is with the rise of input costs, prices, and portions need to be addressed. So as we've seen that the budget actual has been higher, except we see April and June, some corrections, but then unfortunately fell off the horse in July. And this is where we need to look at to say, are we pricing our events correctly? Are we pricing our plates and specials correctly to meet the budgetary requirement put in of 30% for cost of goods sold? Now, alcohol price adjustment has not occurred in roughly almost 2 years. And you can see how the cost of spirits are going up, the cost in other items are going up. We haven't adjusted that revenue item, and we're going to have to look at that, and that's part of our food and beverage business plan to address. So what do we do going forward? Well, labor will be a focal point for the entire HOA, and that's a reduction in overtime and labor where possible. This includes reducing food and beverage labor to a tighter level. Though this may cause some customer service level impact on customer service levels for that amenity and other amenities as we pull back. Cost of goods will have to be addressed in food and beverage and golf. Specifically, food and beverage staff are right now pricing the current menu to make adjustments. Further, specials and banquet pricing, as I had alluded to earlier, will need to reflect the proper cost of goods sold percentage. And this will be addressed through portion management and pricing within the food and beverage department. Water may continue to be higher than budget as we are forecasting higher temperatures in August and September. Overruns in consulting and property protection will slow. Consulting will slow as the lounge project comes to an end in September, and community patrol services for RV patrol will stop in September with the installation of new cameras. Lastly, on-site leadership will look to pull back on other spend areas where it's possible to bring the budget back in line as a whole. Unfortunately, this has been a trend over the last 2 years. If you've watched this channel, you've watched these meetings, that the other departments have come together to make reductions to meet our overall year-end budget, meeting the budget over the last 2 years, and we are going to work on continuing that going forward. That completes my report.
Thank you. Executive session action.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. This report will give the community an update on actions that were taken by the board at their executive session meetings that were held on August 12th, August 14th, and August 28th, at which time litigation, member discipline, formation of contracts, and personnel matters were discussed. With member matters, the board reviewed one member request for a fee waiver. The board reviewed one request for a parking variance. The board reviewed a request for an annual golf refund. The board approved the F&B and golf receivables as of July 31st, 2024, as well as the assessment account receivables as of July 31st, 2024. The board approved the delinquency report. The board reviewed 4 show cause hearings. The board reviewed an appeal to a MAC decision, as well as an appeal to the safety committee decision. The board reviewed 3 requests for a payment plan. The board met with a couple members of the technology review committee, ad hoc committee. And the board has moved the budget workshop from October 2nd to October 7th at 10 a.m., and it will go from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. in the ballroom here. So that's October 7th, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. That will be the budget workshop. With legal, the board approved the executive session minutes from July 10th and July 24th. The board received several updates from legal. The board approved to continue with the foreclosure on 2 properties. And the board approved to send the following accounts to the collections attorney to foreclose on the lien and record the notice of default. And those are the following, or these are the following. APN 419-400-068, APN 440-010-013, APN 440-113-003, APN 440-160-014, APN 440-040-036, APN 440-104-006, APN 440-260-001, APN 419-300-004, and finally APN 419-291-019. Now, the formation of contracts, the board received multiple updates from the management company. The board met and discussed third-party contracts. The board discussed the progress on the F&B RFP. The board reviewed the governance manual submitted by Sequoia Grove. The board received and filed the investment activity report. The board approved the purchase of approved a purchase card for the F&B director. The board received and filed the project activity report. The board reviewed and approved the July and August narrative and analytic reports from Securitas, and these will be placed on the website. The board met and received updates on the lounge expansion, and the board finally is still working with Spectrum on the new bulk account. And that completes the executive session actions.
Thank you. Sub-association report? Delegate Assembly report?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cal Martin, and I'm here to talk about the Delegate Assembly and tell you kind of what's going on there. First of all, the Delegate Assembly would like to thank the Master Board for supporting the mixer that we had a couple weeks back. They did a marvelous job setting it up. There was wonderful food for everyone. It was well received by everyone who attended, and we thank the board very much for sponsoring this event. It was very much appreciated. There has been progress made by both the Delegate Affairs Committee and the Delegate Rules Committee on establishing a draft document for both of these issues. That draft document should be presented at the next open session, where it will hopefully be adopted by the Assembly and then become one of our first basic foundational documents in a series that we're trying to build to create a new working manual for the delegates and also have some rules that we know that we can fall back on should anything arise. The delegate workshops have been, I'd say, an experience for everybody. We are working through the issues that everybody talked about needing to change here in Sun Lakes. We're actually now to the process of beginning to talk about them. We've been deciding on priorities and figuring out what they were to start. But we should have discussion on those topics pretty soon and hope to bring some of those back to the Delegate Assembly floor for resolutions for some sort of change to make an effect that's positive for the community. And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Past action report? Harry?
My name is Harry Finnegan, and Bob, thank you. Board, thank you very much. We were hoping last night there was going to be a vote taken by the Banning City Council on the design of the Banning Point project. That was not done. Supposedly it's going to be scheduled again for September 10th. And here again, that can be changed again, but that's what we're hoping for. And we still do need a little more money in the coffer. Please bring the things over to Dory. Wine bottles, anything that goes into the mouth, she takes. Wine bottles, she takes all the plastic bottles, et cetera, et cetera. So if you can bring things over there, that will help us a little bit, but hopefully we're real close to an end. And if there's anything that happens between now and the next board meeting. Randy will be putting that out on social, and also you can look for the article in the Lifestyles magazine on the Past Action Group. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bingo Advisory Committee?
I have the report. They just sent me something, be real quick. Bingo Advisory Committee is proud and happy to announce we will again be supporting several local charities this year with $9,500. Banning Stagecoach Days will receive $2,000, Banning Senior Center $2,000, the Unforgettables $2,000, Women for Hope $500, and the Sun Lakes Veterans Walk $3,000. Bring all your friends and neighbors. Everyone is welcome. We play 12 regular and 3 special games, and guests can play all 15 games for as little as $7 for the whole evening. Many cash prizes and door prizes are won each week. Remember, cash only, no checks or credit cards. Doors open at 4:30, games start promptly at 6 p.m., and games are over by 8:45. Come and be part of the fun. Food and bar services are available on Tuesday evenings. The restaurant staff is providing wonderful and very popular entrees each week for bingo guests. Please be sure to check each week's menu on Good Day Sun Lakes, the website, and on Facebook. Only Sun Lakes member cards or credit cards are accepted for food and drinks. Any questions, please call Karen at 951-797-3817.
Thank you. Common Area Advisory Committee? Doug?
That was tall. Doug Swenson from Common Area. 2 things. Just like anybody else, artistic maintenance has been impacted with staffing problems. So therefore, there's a lot of changes going on in the staffing. And so sometimes things aren't going to always get done exactly when they are wanting to be done. So if you do have any issues, let me know or get in touch with admin, and we'll see what we can do. But some things just have to be delayed because of staffing. Secondly, election time is coming up this fall, national elections, and I just want to remind everybody that common area is not a place where you can put signs. This is more critical in the sub-associations because that whole place is common area basically, so sub-associations cannot put signs up outside except on their windows or doors, and the rest of the association needs to put it on their private property, not on any common area. Thank you.
Thank you. EPEP?
Good afternoon. I'm Janice Rice. I'm the Public Information Officer for EPEP. On October 17th, we are going to be doing the shakeout with the California Earthquake Association. However, we are not doing a shakeout. We are going to do a shelter in place. And so to get kind of implemented on the shelter in place, on Friday, August 30th, we will have a shelter in place training here in the ballroom lobby side at 10 a.m. Everyone is welcome, not just EPAP volunteers, everybody, and we're going to go over what does it mean to shelter in place. And for this, we're waiting to get information, but it will be whether or not we're doing like someone is on the premises, not a gas leak or something like that. So everyone's welcome to attend. September 12th, we will have an emergency management department from Riverside County. They're going to be here doing a 12 steps to disaster preparedness in the South Clubhouse starting at 1 p.m. This is an excellent presentation. We've had them here before, good information. And again, everyone is invited and we welcome everybody to ask questions. We're working with Hernan and Bob to access Channel 97 crawl so that when things are happening, we'll be able to get on Channel 97 through Spectrum if it's up and running and do the crawl at the bottom so we can give updates on outages and things like that. Now, side note, we offer a lot of really good trainings. We just had people from Simpler Life come. We had a group from the Riverside County or Riverside University come and talk about mental health. And we're not getting good attendance. And if you want to be prepared for any disaster that might come around, you got to come. You need to be trained. And so you might be the ones left in the dark needless to say. So please make it a point of attending these trainings. We'll try and do our best to maybe bring some in the evening, but being prepared will save your life. Thank you.
Thank you. Finance Advisory Committee, Mary Jo.
Good afternoon, board, management team, and fellow residents. Thank you. In July, the FAC offered an extensive list of ideas to the board for revenue and cost control items for golf, food and beverage, and other HOA concerns. We'd like to thank the board for this unique opportunity to present our suggestions. On a monthly basis, after reviewing the financials, our committee continues to make recommendations to the board for their consideration and have accounting questions presented to management. This coming month, the Finance Committee is expecting to be able to review the 2025 budget, perhaps as soon as this week, and we will do our very best to advise the board on our number one goal, which is to maintain our beautiful community. For those of you who want more information on HOA finances, we refer you to the website. All the monthly financials are available, and also the management report, which has a lot of detailed information. If you have questions, you may attend our FAC meetings, which are held every third Wednesday at 2 p.m. in the multipurpose room. We encourage you to ask questions. If we don't have the answers, we can filter them to the management staff. Our next meeting is September 18th. Thank you for your time, and thank you to the Executive General Manager for his account analysis. We really appreciate that.
Thank you. Golf Advisory, Mike.
Good afternoon. I'm Mike Callahan, Chairman of the Golf Advisory Committee. The golf courses at Sun Lakes are an amenity for all homeowners, with more than half of our homes bordering the championship or executive golf course. Many of our residents are not golfers, yet they willingly decide to buy a home in our beautiful community. A big reason for this is the open spaces and the beauty of the landscaping that comes with a well-manicured golf course. Compared to similar communities within the area, Sun Lakes is unique in providing this golf course setting at a monthly HOA assessment that makes it a true hidden gem at a great value. The GAC consists of 9 members, 1 representative from each of the 6 golf clubs, and 3 at-large members who all take their role seriously in golf course maintenance. Our golf courses comprise nearly 300 acres with 13 lakes, more than 7 miles of perimeter wall, hundreds of mature trees, and 2 bridges that traverse the ravine running through the executive course. The golf maintenance staff and budget to maintain all this are well within standards for the industry. The 3 at-large GAC members are chosen from volunteers who are interested in the maintenance of the golf courses and preserving the value of these community assets. The appointment to the GAC is for 2 years, and we welcome applications for the 2025-26 term. If you are interested in being an at-large member, please fill out a volunteer interest form available in the main clubhouse lobby, administration, or the Sun Lakes website. The GAC recommends new at-large members in October and submits them to the Master Board for approval.
Thank you. Library Advisory Committee, Peter.
Good afternoon. So all the Master Board members, you should have in your packet the results of the Library Committee survey, which we had put in various libraries, and the responses were very, very good in terms of the number of people that responded in terms of the survey. Just to give you an idea of the most popular books that people would like to see us order, which we'll be doing hopefully October, November. Number one came in was mystery, and number 2 was history, and 3 was biographies, and 4 was fiction. Interestingly enough, this is the first year that I'm aware of that the Westerns only got like 3 votes. I think we have a lot of Westerns in there, and a couple of people were telling me that there was too many romance books in there. So, but it did come in 6th. So, anyway, and also popular authors. The 3 most popular that we received information or input on was Patterson, Baldacci, and J.D. Robb, who also writes as Nora Roberts. One of the things, number 4, was what else would you like our libraries to include? More large print for the visually impaired, information on how to access digital books, multiple copies of popular books, New York Times puzzles, which actually I think is in the Sun Lakes Life newspaper, more 300-piece puzzles, and this one, which we're currently working on with the Beaumont Library, flyers and handouts on the Riverside County Library System, how to access ebooks and audiobooks. And the last one, which our committee is in favor of, is a printer for the main library, not necessarily a computer, but a printer. So the results are posted in the website, I believe, are on the website, and also should be in the next 2 magazines that come out. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Lifestyles Advisory Committee. Linda?
Good afternoon. Wasn't this a beautiful cover this month? Wasn't that just spectacular? I thought it was a UFO. I thought that was the joke. Isn't that beautiful? We're so thankful to have such talented photographers in Sun Lakes who are willing, not only willing to share their pictures, but to send them in so that we can use them so that everybody can see them. Lifestyles, I'm Linda Vieira from the Lifestyles Advisory Committee. Lifestyles magazine is the resource most residents use to find out what's going on in our community. At 80+ pages, it includes pictures from residents, plus articles from the Master Board, Delegate Assembly, First Service, the restaurant, the Golf Pro, and all the advisory committees. Clubs and groups send articles and photos about their activities to sunlakesnews@yahoo.com by the 6th of each month. The Lifestyles Advisory Committee meets on the 7th of each month, unless otherwise specified, like on a weekend, to review and edit the articles that are submitted for each month's issue of the magazine. We meet with Master Board Liaison Beverly Simmons, Assistant General Manager Jason Ewalls, and Recreation Manager Linda Vang to keep updated about events coming up in our community. We also publish want ads and for sale items from residents at no cost and hide a monthly joke for residents to find. Responses to our Get the Joke contest are put in a hat and a winner is randomly drawn, earning a restaurant gift card as a prize. Our publisher, Courtney Taylor, stands behind all paid ads in the magazine from vendors, and if a resident has a negative experience with one of them, she will leave no stone unturned in order to satisfy the resident. If you have a problem with a vendor who is advertising in Lifestyles magazine, please don't hesitate to contact us at that address, and Courtney will take care of it for you. Photographs taken by residents of all areas within Sun Lakes are used on the magazine cover. We also post pictures of residents on their vacations or with their beloved pets. If you're good at proofreading and are interested in joining us, please fill out a volunteer application form that you can get in the lobby, and we'll put you on our waiting list. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Marketing Advisory Committee, Michelle?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michelle Walter, the Marketing Advisory Committee Chairperson. I'm going to just read this as fast as I can because I've got a lot to cover. We just had our meeting yesterday, 8/27. The Marketing Committee is getting great responses and feedback from the new website that Jerry Blodgett created called Viewpoint. This website gives you the opportunity to share your thoughts and opinions. It is completely confidential. The surveys will change from month to month based on our residents' needs. Our next Welcome Home will be on October 17th, which is a change of date. It is a third Thursday instead of the fourth Thursday, 5 o'clock in the ballroom. I will be sending out notifications to the district delegates. We would like to invite the clubs and any groups to attend as well to display and get out information regarding their memberships. The following are the stats on the home sales in August, from August 1st to August 27th. Active or coming soon, 49. 2 condos, prices from $305 to $380. 47 homes, prices from $340 to $575. In escrow right now, 3 condos, prices from $289,750 to $328. 17 homes, prices from $249 to $529. Closed escrows this month is 2 condos, prices from $278 to $380, 9 homes, prices from $329 to $490. So actually, even though we had 11 properties closed, only 10 of them actually qualified for the $2190. So that puts us $21,900 that goes directly into our replenishment fund. Our new homeowner survey cards, out of 12, show that 5 came for golf, 7 said a restaurant on site was important, 5 are still working. 5 new homeowners didn't think having a restaurant on site is important. So it's a marketing's responsibility to find out why they don't think it's important and how can we get those people in to make a profit for us. The marketing committee, along with the, how much time do I have? The marketing committee, along with the restaurant and lounge, is working on the grand opening and possibly having, and we have some new names for the restaurant and lounge that we will be submitting to the master board. However, what we're going to do is we're going to put a little sign out there and we're going to show what the 3 names we have picked, and we would like the residents, because we want the community involved, and we would like the residents to check mark off which names they would like. We're also going to give this to the staff, and then what we'll do is we'll hand it to the master board, let the master board make the decision. We are working on some great specials for this exciting event. Angel is putting together an upscale drink menu with some fabulous ideas she has created. We are really trying to promote residents to come and enjoy our new lounge and updated restaurant. If you have any creative ideas, please join us at our next marketing committee meeting, September 10th at 1 o'clock in the admin. Thanks.
Thank you. Master Architectural Committee?
I'm not as fast as she is. Good afternoon, members of the board and residents of Sun Lakes. I'm Roy Neerman. I'm the chairman of the Master Architectural Committee. I'm going to say it once more because evidently a lot of people in Sun Lakes don't listen, but if you're painting your house or your trim, if you don't choose a color that's on the approved palette list, it will not be approved. That being said, we are handling about 140 applications a month right now. One meeting we had 97. We're almost done with the violations of paint, so you may find painters available in a couple, 2 or 3 months. But then we're going to be turning toward other violations. And we've primarily focused on paint because we didn't do anything during the COVID period. But now anything that's visible from a street, from a golf course, from any common area, if it is a violation of Sun Lakes rules, you are probably going to receive a violation notice to correct it. And hopefully we'll be in swing with that. It's the only way we can keep our community prim and up to date and desirable. Thank you.
Thank you. Procurement Advisory Committee? Bob?
Good afternoon, Master Board, First Services, and our fellow Sun Lakes members. We conducted our monthly, my name is Bob Hicks, in case you don't know my last name. with the Procurement Advisory Committee. We conducted our monthly meeting August the 20th. In addition to a full complement of the PAC members, it was attended by Bob Walter, our board liaison, and Chris Mitchell from First Services. The following items of discussion are of particular note. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. Chris advised that First Services, the Master Board, and Legal Counsel are working with Spectrum on a new contract. We were advised that First Services has created a specific section for negotiating cable and internet contracts with new properties in their East Coast operations, and that Sun Lakes will be one of the first on the West Coast to be able to utilize this department for existing properties to negotiate a contract. We hope this will really give us a leg up. We're informed that Randy Robbins has been assigned as a board liaison to conduct a preliminary review of SLCC's needs to replace the current antiquated phone system with one that integrates voice and communications. That no target date was identified. The Procurement Advisory Committee referred some collateral support material to Randy that will hopefully be helpful. Previously, you'd heard about a technology assessment initiative. The current status is that while the group of people that were put together to support that activity are eminently qualified, due to a conflict in objectives from the Master Board and the PAC, felt it was most appropriate to refer the proposed project back to the board as a board job product to be recast, prioritized, and scheduled as the Master Board deems appropriate. Golf course tree trimming RFP award was been delayed. Mark Birchfield has comments from the PAC, but the RFP still needs to be revised. Tennis and paddleboard resurfacing quotes were submitted to the PAC, but in the absence of an appropriate RFQ, it's difficult to determine which quote may represent the best value. We discussed the need for more specifics and in order to provide and prepare our review and recommendation report. The janitorial contract RFP has been moved to the fourth quarter. The landscape maintenance RFP will not require any involvement from the PAC because the decision was made to simply renew with a 3% increase. Let's see. Okay, I guess that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Recreation Advisory Committee? Do you have a report for them? No? RV?
Good afternoon, board and residents. I'm David Puckett, chairperson for the RV Storage Lot Committee. We had a committee meeting on August 20th, and only about half the committee were present, as many were traveling, so therefore it was a short meeting. We received an update on security requests from Jason and community update from Gary Burkle. I would like to report on the security improvements in the RV lot that have been done recently. We have heightened the wall on the north end and also the northeast corner, which is a good improvement. We have made operational the light sensors on the east wall. Last week, I walked the outside wall after dark, and as I approached the wall, approximately 25 feet from the wall, the light came on, and we have added 7 new signs along that wall also that you're being filmed and be cautious about entering, and this is a great deterrent. On Monday, I visited the main gate, and Mike showed me the 6 new cameras installed on the east wall. Very impressive. I was really taken back by those cameras and what they can do. These cameras are very clear and can zoom in and out on any location and can rotate to any location for a better view. You can see both sides of the east wall, outside and inside, at the same time. In addition, and down the aisles also. You can shoot down the aisles and see them. In addition, the cameras can see the north and south ends of the lot too, which I was surprised at, that the range of the cameras
that you can actually, I mean, they're on the east wall, but you can see the end, the north wall, and also on the south wall. A great improvement. And I want to thank the master board for these improvements. Okay. If anybody on the master board hasn't seen the cameras, I suggest you stop by and look, because you'll be really shocked to see what they do. Anyway, just a reminder to all lessees, if you have an outside contractor working on your RV, repairing, washing, or waxing, as stated in the rules and regulations, you must be present at all times. Recently, we had a few except people not following those rules. Maybe Jason could send out an email blast as a reminder. I don't know, maybe he could do that. Anyway, our lot is 100% full, and our wait list is shrinking. We've had a lot of recent movement within the lot, and that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Restaurant and lounge, Marcia?
Hello, everyone. Football is back. Yay! So we're pleased to announce that we'll be showing Sunday ticket games in the Sandwich starting Sunday, September 8th. So that's a little bit different. And then Monday night football will be back starting Monday, September 9th with all the fun and trivia. So look for flyers on these events and on the website and an email blast because it'll be coming out soon. This weekend, we've got a Blue Moon special in the Sandwich, which is enjoying the biggest super blue, or I guess the biggest super moon. Blue Moon will be $5 each. Blue Moon buckets will be $20 for 5 plus tax and gratuities. So if you like Blue Moon, come on down. September specials include one on September 11th called the All-American Special, which will be serving steak, baked potatoes, and vegetables for both lunch and dinner. And then on September 18th, we'll have Bangers and Beer, which includes British sausage, baked beans, and coleslaw. That'll be available for your dining pleasure. There will also be beer specials on that day as well. And then from the bar on September 7th, there will be some wine flight specials. And on September 11th, enjoy a Manhattan or a big Appletini. I have no idea what those are, but sounds good. Please note there will not be a brunch in September, but this favorite will return in the last Sunday in October. And then if you haven't heard, we have a grab and go. So if you get hungry while you're out on the golf course, you can call the restaurant on either the 7th hole or the 17th hole to order from a special menu that will be available for you so you can pick up your goodies as you make the turn. And then last but not least, I know Chris talked a little bit about it, but the renovations to the lounge are on budget and on time. We are planning a grand opening in the middle of October. We don't know all the specifics as of yet, but we'll have more information on that plan at the open session in September. The lounge will be an elegant, relaxing venue for all to enjoy for years to come, and we are really excited that it's on the other side and not at the beginning, so we're getting close. So once we open up and we have the grand opening, hope to see you all there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Safety Advisory Committee, Mike?
Hello, Master Board, management, and fellow Sun Lakes residents. My name is Michael Voles. I'm chairman of the Safety Advisory Committee. Securitas reports that there's been an increase in impaired driving due to alcohol involving cars or golf carts in the last 30 days. There have been incidents which led to property damage for some of our residents and to common area property as well. When the Banning Police Department has been called in, their ability to act is limited because most incidents have occurred on private property. To help keep our community safe, Patrol plans on making additional patrol checks at the main clubhouse in the evening to check and see if assistance is needed when dealing with those who may be impaired. A rise in road rage incidents within our community has also been reported in July and August. Securitas has had several cases where residents, after experiencing frustrations while driving, have followed others to their homes to confront them about their driving habits, sometimes escalating into verbal altercations. Security has been actively responding to these situations to diffuse them before they can become more serious. To improve safety, Securitas recommends that those who are reporting to remain in their vehicle and wait for security to respond rather than taking matters into their own hands. There have been more complaints about vehicles parked on driveways and streets in Sun Lakes. There may be legitimate reasons for vehicles parked there, and security can determine that. Patrol continues to monitor residences that have exceeded the use of resident overnight passes by issuing citations to those vehicles that are in violation, especially the repeat offenders. We continue to see traffic violations here in Sun Lakes. These are primarily speeding and failure to stop at stop signs. We all know this. The Safety Advisory Committee is taking steps and making recommendations to the Master Board to reduce these violations. Stay tuned. Be a defensive driver, keep your pets on a leash, and keep your garage doors closed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is the consent agenda. I'll have First Service read the consent agenda items.
Yes, on the consent agenda items are four specific items. One is the minutes to the open session for June 26th, 2024. I believe those have been already approved, and that's an item that can be pulled from the consent agenda. Next, we have a resolution to record a lien. We also have a committee member resignation. The staff received word that Chairperson Tony Sedam has resigned from the bingo. 10 years she's been on that committee. Also, we have a resignation in District 8. The delegate there, Christian Gonzalez, provided his resignation at the delegates meeting in July. Specifically on the resolution to record a lien, we have the following accounts, that being account 0159-01, 0584-01, 1193-02, 1892-02, 2040-02, 2185-01, 3058-01. That completes the report, and we would need a motion to pull the approval of the minutes from the
Thank you.
Consent agenda.
Any director wish to pull any item from the consent agenda?
I will move to pull the minutes from July 6th, since we've already approved them.
I need a motion to approve the amended consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Next is board reports. Financial report from the treasurer will be provided.
Hello, everyone. I'm Gary Burkle, Sun Lakes Treasurer. I'm going to report on the July financial statements. Chris Mitchell covered a lot with it was talked about. His report it was a lot longer than mine's going to be, but I guess that makes sense because he makes more money than I do. Why won't this go? Guess I have to turn it on. Well, as Chris described, the financial results were disappointing for July. In July, the association had a loss of $276,152. And this is disturbing because as the associations, this is basically in the end less cash that the association will have. Our net assets will go down. And in our situation, it's troubling because we don't have a big cash cushion. As you can see there, at the end of July, our cash in the operating fund was $387,996, where at the same time, our outstanding bills were $1,471,442. Obviously, this represents a balance that we don't want. We'd rather have a larger cash cushion to absorb any losses. And when we put all of our assets together, cash and receivables, the outstanding bills still exceed cash and receivables by $172,000. In our payables, the largest bill we have is to First Service, and at the end of July, that bill was $835,000, most of which was back payroll. For the first month, I think this year, golf actually was over budget, and because every other year the golf has come in within budget, but golf operations, and Chris described some of the reasons. The members playing golf was down in July, and the cost of operations, particularly water, was much higher in July. The year-to-date, food and beverage is actually over budget, over its budgeted loss by $257,216. So obviously, food and beverage is the biggest concern we have from an operating standpoint. This is just a summary. There's a lot of numbers on this page, but basically it shows what your HOA dues go to cover. So in July, you can see that we took in 900-some thousand in dues, which covers all the utilities, the land maintenance, swimming pool, all of those different categories, and we hope to have enough left when we pay all those bills to cover food and beverage and golf. But as you can see, in July, we had a $267,000 loss. Here's where my biggest concerns are. As an accountant, you try to look at trends to try and see where we're headed. And in July, through July of 2022, we actually had a surplus of $220,000. Through July of 2023, we had a surplus of $236,000. And through July of this year, we've had a loss of $171,000. So that's a big shift. That's over $400,000 shift. And the only way we make this up is to look at our budget and either raise HOA dues or somehow improve our operations. So this is just a graphic that shows the last 3 years at the end of July, and you can see that at the end of July of 2024, cash and receivables were short $172,000 to cover our outstanding bills. And this is, again, a trend. If we look at May, June, and July of this year, you can see the trend that our bills continue to grow against the receivables in cash, whereas, and again, at the end of July. And a ratio that you want to look at is at the bottom there, and an ideal ratio is to have at least 1.5 to maybe 3 compared to your outstanding bills, and we're below 1, which is a pretty poor financial position. I want to just cover a few things here. These are expenditures so far this year, some of the major expenditures out of the repair and replacement fund. So you can see there that we've spent a lot of money on golf. There was $386,000 spent on the south clubhouse, resurfacing the deck area and the pool area. The lounge expansion so far we've spent out of the repair and replacement fund $230,000, and there was some new vehicles purchased for compliance. As Chris mentioned and talked about, we need to do something to address our loss. So my recommendation is that management prepare a revised projection for the remainder of 2024, and I would set a goal of at least a $300,000 surplus. So, in order to do that, we have to cut costs, and my suggestion is we cut costs in a non-service area, and that management prepare a cash flow projection so that we can determine where we're going to stand cash-wise at the end of the year. And we're also moving forward with an RFP on food and beverage management. That's my report. If you have any questions, you're free to call me, send me an email. My phone number is in Lifestyles. My email is in Lifestyles. Feel free to call me with any questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you. I need a motion to review and file the July financial report as presented by a treasurer.
I'll move.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you. Next is a district delegate appointment request. Management received an email from the chair of the delegate assembly recommending Kathy Algretti be appointed to delegate for District 8. The board approves. Kathy's term will run until April 2026. At that time, she may run for re-election. Need a motion in reference to that?
I move we approve Kathy, I'm not going to try the last name, for District 8 delegate.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Passes 5-0. Committee member approval, Procurement Advisory Committee. The chair has recommended that Doug Emery serve on the committee. If the board approves, Doug would serve a term in the committee ending date of 12/31/2025. I need a motion in reference to that.
I will move to approve Doug Emery to PAC.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Next, rule change, Master Architectural Committee has submitted a recommendation on a rule change. They would like to have Rule 713 of the Architectural Standards amended. Below you'll see that they would like to remove and add the parts to be removed are stricken through, and the additions are in bold. Need a motion in reference to that?
Is this a first reading?
That is correct. So when you guys approve this, this will go out to the community for at least 30 days and then be brought back.
Thank you, Jason.
I move to approve these changes.
I'll second that.
And for those of you who are interested, if you picked up your packet in the back, you can see the changes on here, and they make a lot of sense, so I think it's a good idea.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Next is a recommendation from the Recreation Advisory Committee. Facility use fee. Recreation Advisory Committee set up a subcommittee to investigate the possibility of charging a room use fee to the instructors that profit from the use of our ballroom and other reservation spaces where they hold their classes. With this, the committee is recommending that Sun Lakes charge a 20% room use fee. This fee can be used for the entire year or broken down by month. The rate you see on the last attached sheet is for the year. Monthly would be taking the number and just dividing by 12. If the board does approve, the fee will be charged to the instructors. It would be suggested that this start in January 2025. The only real issue here, I think, is we have to look at how much is this really going to generate in revenue for us here for the HOA, and how much inconvenience is there going to be for the people attending those particular classes.
So I'd like to make a motion so we can comment on it.
Because normally what happens, that amount is just going to be passed on to us. Yes, go ahead.
So I'd like to move to deny this request.
Deny or table for study?
I would like to move to deny this request.
I'll need a second if we want to proceed with that.
I'll second that.
Now we can have a conversation. And
A-
I
any-
agree with you, Bob.
Any comment or discussion from the board or from membership?
I will
Come-
make a comment before everybody else. We did this a couple of years ago, and exactly what Bob was saying happened. The cost that was charged to the instructors was passed along to the residents, and all of their fees were raised. The amount of money that we'd make off of this is probably less than $200 a month. So the aggravation and the concerns that the residents have were more important to the board than making that little bit of money.
We
So
do have a comment from membership, though.
You have to come up to the
Come on down
microphone,
if you don't mind.
Barbara.
I know you're kind of shy, but
Before Barbara talks, I do want to make one more comment too, is that, we did try this before, and we do want to have revenue coming in, but at what cost? It's a double-edged sword is all I'm going to say. Go ahead, Barbara.
Thank you. Barbara Jesus. Yeah, I was reading this, and although I do think in some cases we may want to have fees, I don't think it should be, say we have the aerobics class, and there's like 50 homeowners, and they're generating the class. Basically, we're hiring somebody to come in and do the aerobics for us. And if I calculate this this correctly, she won't be able to afford this, based on what I know she's taking in every month. And if I'm figuring this right, which is, say this one thing says she's at the South Clubhouse, 4 hours, $300? Is that?
Okay, that would be separate of this fee.
Would that be considered, is she an outside entity / person? Is it resident sponsored? There's some questions here because.
No, this would be a separate fee from the from the fee chart. This would be a separate to a vendor who's effectively running their business off our dime. To be brutally honest about it, that's what they're doing. And it did cause a lot of the people that are attending the classes were charged that extra $5, and we all it wasn't this 5, but we all 5 of us heard about it. So that's why we backed, and that came from us last time. I'll be honest about it. It did not come from a recreation thing, and this one did not come from us. It came from recreation. So.
And
Okay,
Barbara,
yes,
just
well,
to comment on what you were saying, in that sheet you see there, she is not considered, the instructor would not be considered an outside entity. There's another column that they're asking for, and that's what that would be. So like the ballroom for that one person would be $1,400 for the entire year.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Appreciate it. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jason.
Thank you. And that's why the board is hesitant to approve such a thing, because it's going to be inconvenient for our membership. And we don't want to do that for a limited revenue source stream.
Howard Katz, District 23. I think we see a couple of amenities here that have a substantial red loss figure per month in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I think if we can make $1,400 a month off of our residents to take a class or something, that we ought to just forget it and put our time into things that really need fixing. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments before we vote on this matter? All in favor of the denial?
Aye.
Aye. Passes, or is denied, 5-0.
Motion passes.
Next is item number F, Investment policy, association's investment policy was last updated on 2014. The board requested input from the procurement advisory and the financial advisory committees for potential changes. The board has evaluated the input. A draft copy of the investment policy has been developed and is before the board to approve or deny. I need a motion in reference to this matter.
Mr. President, I make a motion that I would like to introduce that we table this approval of the investment policy on the agenda tonight to allow for additional time for further review and discussion.
I will second that. Matter is tabled. Next is facility use request, EPAP. Management received an email from Janice Rice regarding the 2024 EPAP drill. She would like to have it take place on October 17th at 10:17 a.m. This annual drill will be an active shooter drill. This year, EPAP is asking permission to be on the 18th hole of the golf course for approximately 30 minutes. This time, we'll have someone enter through gate 1, come onto the golf course, pretend to be active shooter, injuring a number of golfer and maintenance staff that are still working out the rest of the drill and the fine details. Lady Niners play that morning, and the first group normally finishes up around 10:17 a.m. or so. If approved, EPAP would like to work with the Lady Niners on this. Need a motion in reference to this request.
I move we approve this request as long as we get no objection, or at least just have discussion, if necessary, with the Lady Niners.
I would second that, mostly for discussion, because I do think that you're going to impact golfers. This is on Ladies Golf Day. The Lady Niners are playing, the Women's Golf Club is also playing, so the whole golf course is going to be covered with golfers. I'm just curious as to why you were picking this date and that time. I know you want people there to take a shot.
I think, yes, Janice, could you explain? It's probably set up county-wide as to a major drill of this nature. I think she's referring to, can we have it later in the morning or afternoon?
Shocking. This is based on the Great California Shakeout, and usually it's an earthquake drill. And so we're concerned about things that have been happening here, where we've had people running into our residents, we've had helicopters flying overhead, and we want people to understand what shelter in place actually means. So the actual drill takes place on October 17th at 10:17 a.m. My guess is we probably won't be on the golf course for more than 10 minutes, because we're hoping that we get the perpetrator taken down, taken out, and all that kind of stuff. It is a drill. But there, as it says in there, we do have a lot to cover, but that is the reason it's at that time and at that date and time.
Have you approached the Lady Niners already?
I've talked to a few of them, and I was told that usually they would not reach the 18th hole by that time, because they're not actually starting till 8 o'clock. I'm not a golfer, so I have no clue whatsoever how long it takes or anything like that. So obviously we'd base it on what there, and we can do it to the edge. Like I said, we've got a little bit of planning here left. We just needed to wait to get the approval or denial to go forward. We can just make it a little bit different, maybe not so intense, if that would help. But we think we can do this in a timely manner and not really interrupt the golfers, because we know that's important.
Thank you. Any other comments before we vote on this matter?
I didn't really quite understand why we couldn't change the time to accommodate the Lady Niners.
Because it's based on the state drill. And so if we go along with the state drill, that's the timing.
Do we have to communicate with the state?
No.
I guess
I
still don't understand then.
It's just it's how we've always done it. So It just seems, I can talk to Candace, we can meet, the EPAP team can meet. If you guys want to table this, we can meet and have a further discussion to see how we could make this work for everybody.
Is this an appropriate time to make a motion?
No, because we've got another comment.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, we already have a motion and a second.
okay.
Any other comments from membership?
Yeah, my only suggestion would be from the GAC is that maybe change in location. It would probably be more appropriate to have this in the driving range, putting practice area in the back, because if there was an active shooter location, it's more likely that that would be more along the lines of where that would occur rather than the 18th green. Because if you go to the 18th green, the golfers coming through, it's very sporadic. A lot of times, 10-17, it might not even interfere with the ladies because the guys go out after the ladies are finished, so a lot of them are warming up in the back, and there's more activity there. So I think you could go ahead with this as you planned. I would just consider, maybe relocating it to a more appropriate place.
Thank you.
So we want to revise our...
Michelle Walter. I actually am a Lady Niner, and I don't think there's a problem with it. You're going to be off to the side. You're not going to be on the green. And if you talk to the Lady Niners, I'm sure they'll be more than happy to just play a little slower or just, wait a little bit longer. And you know what? There's only 4 or 5 groups go out. It's not like the women's golf club where they are, there's like 15, 20 teams that go out. So it's very light. And I think it's a great idea. And I totally would hope that you guys would approve this.
Okay.
Just one more comment. As I was picturing this, I was thinking about the 17th green. The 18th green is right there across the street from the clubhouse on Country Club at the stop signs. So you're going to have a lot of traffic. You're going to have a lot of other people, which is fine. I just want to make sure that the community is aware that this is a drill and not an active, because we don't need the police involved. Yeah.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of authorizing this?
Aye.
Aye.
And if you want, you can check and see about a possible location change, but it has been authorized. Next is item H. Management received a request from the Pass Action Group asking the board to approve them to sell nuts in the lobby of the main clubhouse as a fundraiser. PAG would work with Recreation Department on days and times that they are available to do so. Need a motion in reference to this?
I move to approve their request to sell nuts. Which one of us is up for sale?
Yeah.
I knew there was a joke in there somewhere.
I'll second that motion. Any comments from the board or from membership?
I just wanted to explain the reason for the request. We are not a club or a group within Sun Lake, so therefore we don't have priority to do that. And we will not infringe on any other fundraisers or anybody that's doing something in the lobby or out in the clubhouse at that time. So that was the goal of it. This latest delay, of course, leads to more legal fees, and the legal wrangling that the opposition is making right now has created, unfortunately, some lawyer time on our part, and we're needing to get a little bit more funds in. So that's it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
Passes 401. We're done with our section on that. Next is the open session comments from membership. Remember to keep it within the 3-minute time period. First speaker is Howard Katz.
Good afternoon, Board, FSR representatives, SLCC members, and guests. Thank you, Board, for the opportunity to speak this afternoon. I have many comments about the Opal project, but because of my 3-minute time limit, I'll limit my comments to 2 following areas. First, governance policy. Since Opal will affect how Sun Lakes Country Club is governed by formalizing a new governance methodology and a new document, SLCC members should have the right to express if they approve of implementing OPA by a formal referendum, either by holding a special election or placing a measure on the ballot offered to all members in April 2025. Second, fiduciary methodology. What has been called the Draft OPA Governance Manual in Section 3.3 includes 13 items. I'll comment on 2 of them. First, number 3, SLCC will not expend more funds than appropriated in the budget process. For the last many months, the restaurant and lounge have been budgeted to lose approximately $35,000 a month. As an aside, that amount in itself is unconscionable, but to continue. The monthly SLCC financials since January 22 have shown restaurant and lounge combined monthly losses. Over the past 31 months, the losses in 25 of those months were over $50,000 each, tending between $60,000 and $80,000, with 4 monthly losses over $100,000. Isn't that more than budgeted? Number 4, SLCC will not allow cash in the operational account to drop below that amount necessary to meet operating expenses over a 30-day period. At the end of February 2024, our operating fund had just $70,306 in it, but our total payables were $555,656, a little bit less than what our payables were. At the end of July 24, our operating fund had $387,996. You say 996. I round up 997, Gary. But our total payables were over $1.4 million. This is more the norm than the exception, since similar numbers can be seen in the SLCC financials between July and December 2022, between July and December 2023, and between February and July 2024. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Janice Rice.
No questions.
Good afternoon once again. I am here as the alternate delegate for District 13. I'm Janice Rice. I'm talking to you because I was approached by several of the residents in District 13 who have a big concern. On the night of July 23rd at approximately 12:30, 2 individuals walked in through Gate 5 as it was opened, the main gate, not the down arm, the big metal gate. They walked in, they came down Pine Valley, and proceeded to steal lights, solar lights, from 5 different homes on Pine Valley. And so their concern is that that gate remains open for 30 seconds. And that's a long time. A car, the arm comes down when the cars go through, but the main gate, that big metal gate, takes 30 seconds to close. People can walk through there. So the residents on Pine Valley and around District 4 and District 13, we are then subject to people walking in and out. And there is no security over there. And I don't know if there are cameras, if there are maybe a big sign needs put up. They would like to, the 5 homes that were, had things stolen from them. They were lights, nothing more. But they are concerned, very concerned that something else could happen. And so they would like, their request would be that those gates be permanently closed from 12 p.m. or 12 midnight to, let's say, 5 a.m. Now, I know this has been done or suggested before, and with some resistance because people don't want to go through the Gate 1 to get all the way through. But it's a suggestion, or coming up with some sort of extra patrol over there, cameras, something that they can have a better security and better feeling of being secure. And they did report it to the police, they did report it to the board. So I am just sharing this information.
Thank you very much. I did have the opportunity to review those tapes and notice it was two young people walking dogs. I don't know if they came into the gate or if they actually live here, but they did. They were walking dogs in the morning and they were stealing solar lights wherever they wanted to. So we need to have more vigilance on our patrol and in our community and make sure that our property is protected. Next is Ken Johnson.
Ken Johnson, Birdie Drive. Is this on? Okay. Board, management, residents. As a 22-year resident, I'm really concerned about our financial condition and the direction that we're going. Concerned about the development of a realistic budget based on changes of the food and beverage facilities that we put in place, labor cost and increased cost of goods and services. I think that by attending the recent FAC meeting, I was concerned where we are in a budget schedule and that we really are not paying enough attention. Gary's comment of providing some cash flow and some overall financial update, and we say we're going to have the lounge done in April. It bothers me that we say we're on schedule and on budget. There's a budget impact by doing that activity. And do we really walk through the process? The Sand Wedge I've attended, and it's a sports bar. It qualifies as a D- in my perspective. You can't hardly hear. I couldn't talk to somebody at the table, had to turn my hearing aids down. TVs weren't set up in the right way to review. I know you're working on some sound things to improve for the board. I think you need to bring in some acoustic engineers to look at what you can do to improve it, because it's not the best from an overall setting. There's no memorabilia up, so my expectations of a sports bar were kind of disappointing. I think that you need to do some, in the budget, some funding for technology dollars to do a technology assessment, make recommendations of key IT initiatives, and lay out a strategic direction of IT. Additionally, you can put in the budget some money to fund outside resources to help you in specific activities. I think there's a lack of, again, IT resource capabilities within the overall community. Finally, I've heard about the budget and potentially doing an RFP for food and beverage. I hope that the food and beverage RFP lays out all the requirements, that we're not looking for a simple solution to come in here and save us. I think that RFP should be done correctly. I was on the golf course today, and I like to say the budget dollars from using integrity to do the tree trimming and laying out the setting of the course was excellent. We should be doing more of those type of projects. I think there's some benefit, but not only from protecting the trees, but to offer quality views, both from the golf course when you're on it and for the people looking outside on the golf course. Thank you.
Thank you. David Marshall Keeley.
Master Board, staff, and residents that are here in the room, and you who are watching on Channel 97 or recorded it and watch it later, I'm making this a private, I guess, announcement. Last night at the Banning City Council meeting, I made a public announcement for the first time. The Sun Lakes Country Club Charitable Trust has established an endowment, and the endowment is to help ensure the future. And so we're encouraging people to fund this endowment, which will be different than the regular fundraising activities that are held every year. Typically, there's 12 to 14 events that are fundraising, and that's kind of, I'm saying this is a private announcement because it's us, it's inside, but the public announcement was made yesterday, which included our announcement that our $2 millionth was given last November to one of the local charities. I also said that I looked at a report from 2016. In 2016, we made a grant to the 45th organization, the charity that we had made since 1989, our records. So the charity is alive and well, and we've added this new opportunity. So you get one Tammy, for your records, and I have this information for anybody that's interested.
Thank you very much. No other comments from membership? Gary?
I don't have any additional comments.
Okay, if there are, come on up.
Sorry, Michelle Walter. I'm speaking as a resident, not as a community awareness or anything like that. We're all talking about how we're losing money and how we're not making money in the restaurant and lounge. Well, don't forget, our lounge has been closed for quite some time, and our restaurant is not the way it used to be. Of course we're going to lose some money. Now, should we be losing as much as we are? Probably not. But do you think some other company is going to come in here and make it better for us? No, we have to work on what we have already and see if we can make it better. And that's why the Restaurant and Lounge Committee and the Marketing Committee are working so hard to make this happen for you. So I think if everybody came into the restaurant once a month, if everybody came into the lounge every now and then, we wouldn't be in the predicament we're in. So instead of complaining, let's help each other and make this a better community by being here and being so supportive of our community for our master board and FSR. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from membership?
Hi, Sandra Gutnick on Birdie Drive. And I have a question regarding the update from the Master Architectural Committee by Chairman Roy Neerman. I received a letter in July from administration that it was time to paint my house. And so in compliance, I picked up the application. And also there's a multi-fold brochure in the office of the color palette for Vista and Dunn Edwards and Bear and Sherwin-Williams. So I wanted to be sure we were compliant. But on the cover of that color palette brochure, it clearly states in writing that if we don't select a color specifically in the color palette, we are to select something that is in keeping with what the color palette is, which is what I selected. Today in this meeting, I heard from the chairman that if you don't pick a color on the palette, you will absolutely be denied. And so this is the second time in my tenure at Sun Lakes where the written architectural standards seem to be in conflict with the verbalized architectural standards from the chairman. And I would like to get clarity from the board if what's documented in writing regarding the color palette would take precedence over what's verbalized.
Thank you. I'm going to introduce you to Roy after our meeting.
Good afternoon, Master Board. Raylene Kretschmann, Bay Hill Road. I think it was at the end of your report, Gary, that you put something about you're recommending that they go out for the RFP for the restaurant and lounge. I saw that we just spent a great deal of money on renovating the entire area, so I think it would kind of be irresponsible this soon, without knowing what changes this does to the community and what money it brings in, to go out again and yet again to do an RFP.
Hi, my name is Eva Rusk, and I just want to bring to attention a little concern that does bother me. Maybe you haven't realized it, but there's a Sun Lakes pickup that's sitting over here in the parking lot that's been taking up 2 parking places and hasn't moved for at least a month. It's filthy dirty. People occasionally write, "Wash me" on the back of it, and in a few days, there's another batch of dirt that's covered that up, and it gets rewritten. So I'm wondering why we have extra pickup. And one of the cars appeared to me to not have been used very much because it was filthy dirty too. And with the windows and windshield like that, it couldn't be being driven. So I'm curious as to why we have that many vehicles if they're not being used.
Thank you. We will have FSR staff look into that. Any other comments from membership? Gary?
I don't have any additional comments.
Don? Any comments?
Yeah, just a few things I'd like to cover. We have received a final draft of the governance policy from our consultant, which needs to be reviewed and approved by the board. With the board season, budget season, and the lounge opening ahead of us, we do not expect to further implement additional aspects of the policy until January of next year. Once the board has approved the recent changes, the policy will be posted on the website so everybody can see what's involved in that. It was quite a project to get done, and we don't want to just approve something that the board hasn't gone through and reviewed the latest changes. Couple other things. Following the July financials that Gary and Chris have presented, a plan to improve operating cash was discussed with management. The board has discussed management's plan to produce a business plan that is intended to detail how those 5 venues are going to be managed and operated. So that's kind of exciting. A discussion was also held related to the July variance reporting. There were some questions that came up regarding that. But on a final note, I will tell you the lounge expansion is going to be drop dead gorgeous when you see it. It's going to be a very impressive looking facility, and I'm looking forward to having it opened. Construction is scheduled to be completed by October 11th. Couple little hiccups, but I think they're well on schedule to complete on time. And I'm looking forward to how that's going to be introduced to residents and start using it. So that should be a really exciting thing once that happens. So that's all I have.
Believe it or not, I have nothing to add.
Randy?
All I usually do, and I do today. I've got 2 things I just want to address. One is Securitas. They've been, we've been harping on stop signs, obviously based on the narrative that Mr. Volt shared with us today, the narrative that came from Securitas. We've got other issues going on, and we've had other issues on the veranda, at the bar, and different things. One thing I want to remind everybody, they do not have arrest authority or apprehension authority in any way, shape, or form. Okay, they cannot physically restrain somebody unless they are threatened. I'm not sure the exact verbiage, so don't hold me to that exact word. But if you are assaulted, harassed, whatever, call the police. I'm telling the people in this room, the people on thing, we'll do what we can with regard to residents that are violating our rules. But when it comes to incident protection, your best option is dial 911. I personally would dial 911 before I would call Securitas if I felt threatened. So that's just something I wanted to get out there because I've heard it said different ways over time, and some people do feel that it's the HOA's responsibility or the board's responsibility, and quite frankly, it's not. Okay. The next thing I wanted to mention, and it was mentioned earlier, getting rid of our antiquated, I believe was the word that Bob Hicks tried to throw out there, phone system. We are going to be working on that immediately. Myself, I'm working with Chris and Jason and probably Hernan, who's probably hearing it for the first time up there in the booth. Anyway, we're going to work on analyzing what we are currently doing, and then once that's done, we will look into an internet protocol, also called a VoIP system, voice over internet system to put in system-wide, and we should, based on my experience with the company that I put in a system for, we should have a tremendous savings in our telephone bills. So that's all I got.
Thank you very much. Do you know what the mission statement of the board members is here at Sun Lakes? I think most people do not. Our mission statement is to enhance and maintain the common areas and the amenities for our membership. That's our mission. And if you look at that, I think this board has worked together as a team doing just that, doing a very good job. I mean, we're upgrading the restaurant, we're expanding the lounge, we redid the indoor pool, put in the cameras, many other projects that we've been doing. And for the past 2 years, we've been doing them under budget. Now, this year, we've had some issues. Yes, we do. But we're addressing them as a team, and we're working on that. And we're going to make sure that not only does this board, but First Service also can address that, our shortfalls in the area of food and beverage, where we have a new director. We have a new lounge, a new restaurant coming in, where we can increase the revenue. And speaking of revenue and budget, we're working on that right now. We got a lot of suggestions from different committees and people when we came up with, I believe it was like 15 different ones that we're going to begin implementing this year to incorporate in our budget. So we're working on that, but we are meeting our mission statement. And with everybody's help, I think we can continue to have a great community here. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.